Hi, and welcome to the Kelly Kitley Podcast, America's Social Worker Unfiltered, where every week I have hopeful, honest, and deeply human conversations with changemakers. And today I'm feeling so nostalgic because I have Rosemary O'Connor as our guest, and she is a speaker, a certified recovery and life coach, and she is also the author of a book that helped me tremendously in early sobriety, A Sober Mom's Guide to Recovery, Taking Care of Yourself to Take Care of Your Kids. That is the best tagline ever. And she also wrote the book, When All Else Fails, Drink Coffee. I could not agree more. And just for our listeners, I have to read this review by one of my sheroes, Anne Lamott, who said that Rosemary O'Connor is such a warm and experienced companion for women trying to manage the difficult and exhilarating path of sober motherhood. She has a good sense of humor and a lot of practical and spiritual wisdom. I wish I had this book when I had my child. Wow, what a compliment.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
You are in long-term recovery,
Mhm.
26 years sober,
Yes.
and you have paved the way. You are like the OG, the original gangster of sober coaching, recovery coaching, giving women permission to share and tell their story. And I know you as a mentor to me, and seeing you at conferences and meeting you in person and really inspiring my work. But some of the listeners might not know who you are, and just if you could take us through your journey and how you got into this field and this work.
Oh gosh, yeah. So fun to be here and so fun to see you and again share the roads with other sober moms that are still doing it through all trials and tribulations. And now I'm a sober grandma. So that's a whole other ball of wax. I
Oh
probably
my
should
God.
write that book.
Please. Yes.
Yeah. I'm gathering data. Here we
Okay.
go. Yeah.
Okay.
So, I got sober 26 years ago. I was married and had three fabulous, young children. They were 2, 5, and 8 when I got sober. And, I was your typical kind of soccer mom, PTA mom. I was married and, to a wonderful man. And I knew nothing about alcoholism, and everything on the outside looked really good, according to me,
Mhm.
or probably other people. But I got separated from my husband at the time, and I just went down quick. Really, my bottom wasn't the outside stuff. Like I never got a DUI or jail. I should have,
Mhm.
or killed anybody with my car because I drove drunk, and you know and so but what I didn't know was the inside, how I just could not pay attention, didn't want to feel, basically, the shame, the guilt, the less than, the not enough, like all the things, right? But one night, my bottom was I didn't come home to my children. I went to a party and hired, get a load of this, a 9-year-old babysitter. I just said,
A
it's
great
just gonna be,
idea. Right.
oh my God.
Well,
I looked
this
back.
babysitter was older than your oldest child, so it makes sense to me.
Exactly. I know, exactly. And so, I said I'd be gone for just a couple hours, left at 7 p.m., all dressed up, going to this fancy ball. And long story short, I didn't make it home and ended up in, of course, a stranger's bed.
Mhm.
And I strolled in the next day with my gorgeous gown on. I was mess. I would lost one shoe and no phone, and all the just looking just fabulous, right?
Mhm.
And again, my kids weren't the I wasn't the type of mom where I was, passed out on the couch. So they gave me this look of horror.
Sure.
And it was the look in my middle son's eyes when he said, and my ex-husband was there, my best friend. They'd been up all
Oh
night. It
my
was that
gosh.
tornado that we
Oh,
created.
Mhm.
And he looked at me and shook his head and said, come on, kids, pack your bags. We're going to my house. And my best friend just looked at me and said, you better get a hold of yourself. And and again, it was just kind of like shrugging those two things off. And
Mhm.
but when my middle son, who was 5 at the time, looked up at me with those big, beautiful eyes and said, "Mommy, are you okay?" And I looked down and I just said to him, for whatever reason, no, I was not okay.
Mhm.
And then they were left. The house was completely silent. And, I just thought if I don't stop drinking today, um, you know, I'll continue down this path. And it was not the type of mother I wanted to be. Where this disease takes everything we love and holds so dear in our hearts.
Mm.
And so that's the day I reached out for help. And I had been very successful in the real estate industry, but at about 5 years sober, I just felt like I just did feel like I needed my heart was drawing me somewhere. And then again, by fluke, I ran into the world of coaching had just started. And so I went
What
to
year was
school.
that?
I know it was 2004.
Okay,
And
sure.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
And so back when you had to go to class and it was a whole year program,
Yeah.
you know, take tests and do all the certification stuff. So anyhow, that just started me on this journey and I never planned to write a book. And I certainly never thought Hazelden. I wasn't a writer, I wasn't an author. I just knew it was inside me and I had to do it. It was like I had to shut my head up, like, okay, I hear you now.
Okay.
So, and then the coaching business, it's just, I wish I could say I planned any of this journey. And of course I haven't. It
Mhm.
has just led me from, one avenue to another. I've been coaching now. Oh, it's 2004.
Yeah.
What day is it?
22 years. What
There
year
we
are
go.
we in? Right.
Yeah, I know. And I not only coach, I'm retired part-time now. I'm a grandma and I love to travel. So that's my life. I'm have repaired a wonderful relationship with my ex and his wife and their kids, and we
Oh,
celebrate holidays together. So,
oh my
I
gosh.
mean, I'm making this sound really easy, but as you know, it's been the ups and downs, the life, right?
Sure.
Life gets lifey. So that's
Mhm.
my long story short, or my short story long.
Well, and that's so interesting because, sometimes you talk to people in recovery and it is the spirit is moving you, right? Like, what am I supposed to do next? And
Right.
sometimes we trust that calling or that nudge, and sometimes we question it. But, Hazelton publishing your book is a pretty big deal. And so, like, how did that happen?
Well, I know. Again, it's, I like to say the short story is that it was supposed to happen.
Okay.
Like I just felt very led by higher power. And my head had been saying that for years. And I finally said, okay, I actually hired a writing coach, and
Mhm.
because I knew I needed the accountability, I knew I needed to put me on the calendar. And it took me, people say, how long did it take? And I'm like, well, one word at a time,
Mhm.
like literally years until I set the proposal. And I had no idea what I was doing. Like I sent it to Random House, some other place. And then, Hazelden was the dream.
Uh-huh.
And when they called me, it was never like an ego thing. And because I used to just like try to,
Mhm.
especially like when I coach, I just try to, listen and be a channel.
Mhm.
And I would do that every time I wrote. And when Hazelden called me, this is how much I did not know what I was doing. They said, "Well, it's a good thing you have like a website. You didn't include your phone number or your email." So it was just like, seriously, I mean, it's a lot of work, but the information just flowed,
Amazing.
and
Amazing.
it was. So I just feel like I was just the vehicle to write it. And like you said before we started recording, I wasn't, my intention was if it just helped one woman,
Mhm.
it's like I wrote the book I wish I would have had in
Mm.
early recovery, and my goal was if it was just to help one woman, my job was done.
Mhm.
And at the end I was like, whoa, that was super healing for me.
Mhm.
It
Yes.
was like I still get, it was so healing. As you
Mhm.
know, writing is healing.
It is. Absolutely. And
Yeah.
I'm one person that it helped because I was looking for the book of how moms were getting sober and how they were doing it. And this was so important. I held it so close to me. And there are
Yeah.
so many other women who it has
Yeah.
helped too. And your book is a resource in the back of my book. And, now as a grandma, and I think you raised teenagers as a sober mom.
I raised, yeah, 2, 3, starting 2 years old. Yeah. So I feel like I've done every level,
You have, you have.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
guess I'm projecting. I'm raising four teenagers
Oh,
as
4, you
a
have
sober
4
mom.
kids.
Well, my
Oh,
oldest just turned 20, so he's not
oh,
a teenager anymore. But it's hard to
still.
navigate that when they're in that experimental phase, and
Oh,
it's just a whole. Somebody needs to write a book about that. Um,
yeah. I always
but
think it's just different. Like you don't ever like it's just every stage is different and every stage is fabulous and really hard. Because I've been single the whole time. Single,
uh-huh.
yeah. And
Yeah,
and yeah, I've dated, that's a whole other talk, right?
that's another book.
But yeah, another book. And yes, co-parented well with my ex. So it wasn't
Mhm.
like a true,
Yeah.
I did have a few breaks here and there, but it's just all hard. But yeah, every age I think was difficult, but thank God, we have tools
Right.
that, yeah.
And were there other women who were influential to you? I
Oh my
mean,
gosh, 100%. I mean,
mhm,
yeah, like all my mentors, uh, yeah, just, again, the universe sends people to show up in our life if we pay attention. And
mhm,
I mean, hundreds of women have supported me throughout the years.
mhm.
Yeah, even whether I know them or they don't, whether it was a book I read or that I met them just along the journey. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, and
Yeah.
you said, I mean, something that I'm trying to navigate with the sober, curious community and culture and this whole wave of how
Yeah.
drinking has shifted. And some old timers, meaning people who've been in the program for a long
Yeah.
time or sober for a long time, use
Yeah.
words like alcoholic or the disease of addiction. And some people hear those words and they're like, oh my gosh, no way. This isn't a disease. I'm not an alcoholic. I don't want a label. Like, how
Right.
do you navigate that as a woman in long term recovery with women who are coming to you who maybe are newly sober? What do you understand about the shift in language and
Yeah.
labels and
I definitely understand the not wanting the label because I did not think I was an alcoholic, but my first year in recovery, I learned about the disease.
Mhm,
What I learned is it's not about how much or how often we drink, it's what happens when we drink.
mhm,
And I often, and the only reason I call myself an alcoholic is to remind my brain that that's like, it's not only who I am, but it's to remind myself daily that, if I drink, because just because I've been sober for so long doesn't mean that
mhm,
I'm immune to this disease, which, by the way, it's in the medical journals. Our brains have been studied, but I really get the pushback. And because the still the negative aspect that goes along with it.
mhm,
Um, but I just basically say, we don't have to label anything.
mhm,
Um, do you like what happens when you drink, or do you wake up and know? Because I get the same thing I got. Well, sometimes I can have one drink or two drinks,
mhm,
but then there's other days that I don't know when I wake up, is it going to
right,
be a 10-day drink?
mhm,
I don't know the day that if I drink, am I not going to show up?
mhm,
And basically, because I truly believe we're all on a spiritual journey, is it's that's what it takes you on.
mhm.
It takes you on a spiritual journey, no matter how you go about it. And
Whether
it's
it's
like,
meaning if it's a 12-step program or a
oh
community of
yeah,
She Recovers, or
yeah,
there are
and
groups out there for everybody.
yeah, there
Mhm,
are therapists that have groups. So it's basically, how do you feel the next day when you wake up about the amount of alcohol you drank?
yeah.
What were your behaviors that caused you shame and guilt? And
Mhm,
can you show up for your children, like
Mm.
physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and financially. Because I've had recovery. I feel like I'm in recovery from all those things. Like we
Oh,
put one thing down, I put the alcohol down, and then I picked the men up, or actually I did those a lot side by side, and then the credit cards, and then the control, and then the whatever.
yeah.
And so it's just
Mm.
it's the I feel like it's the journey to clear out the gunk that's getting in the way, that living the life we want to live. And if we get into healthier relationship with ourselves, we can be in healthier relationship with others. I do a lot of that work these days.
Mm.
How can
Mhm.
I be, have my voice, or, more self-esteem, more self-confidence? And I really look at behaviors, and are we using certain people, places, and things to make us feel better?
Mhm.
That's ultimately harming to ourselves and
Mhm.
others.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Ah, and I love that you brought up cross addiction, because addiction is addiction is addiction, right? It's an addictive brain. And so the substance might be different if it's
Mhm.
Russian roulette, right? Um, but when you got to this place of, this moment that you described with your
Mhm.
kids when you walked in the door,
Yeah.
alcohol was the solution at the time, maybe for what? Overwhelm, anxiety, sadness, grief,
Yeah, and
all
and
of
all
it.
of those, and happiness and celebration, and feeling better. Like I wanted, to feel higher or
Mhm,
lower,
mhm.
because that's what it does to our brain. And yeah, like all that.
And how did you educate your kids about what was going on for you in your recovery process?
Oh, a lot of ways to do and not to do. And that's what a lot of my book is about, as you know. Well, when I was so excited that I understood addiction and alcoholism, and I am one, and that, my behaviors, a lot of them were driven by what happened, I sat them all down and said, Mommy's an alcoholic. And again, they're 2, 5, and 8. So my 5-year-old, he was so enthusiastic like me. He went to school at Sharon Tell and said, Mommy's an alcoholic. And of course, the teacher was so sweet and shared that with me, and I had to kind of clarify. But I would say overall,
Mhm, mhm,
I was just the example that if and when you ever face this, like it's in our family, it's in every family,
mhm,
somehow or another, that this was the solution. I showed them. I didn't say much ever. And
mm,
I know they heard me, and if I was on the phone, or, I would have big parties and show them that you can still have fun. And
mhm,
I think they learned more through osmosis, you know.
mm.
And
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I never, and one of my kids has struggled with this addiction, and this totally chokes me up. It was that one with the big, beautiful eyes that
Mhm,
looked at me. And one time he came to me and said, Mom, I'm struggling.
mm,
And I said, I understand. You know where to go if I can help in any way.
mhm,
Again, I threw myself into Al Anon, which saved my life, because I did everything. I had been in the field for like 10 years, and I did everything that they told you not to do, all the codependency behaviors, until I finally let go. So again, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially, I was bottoming out.
mhm,
And they're mirror diseases is what they really are. I do,
yeah,
because I work a lot with families and
mhm,
partners with, people that are affected by this
mhm,
addiction and
mhm,
disease. But yeah, so and then he came to me 90 days before his first child was born and said, Mom, I've decided I want to be a sober dad like you. And you showed me it's possible. I mean, and I mean, right? Like,
That's beautiful.
there's no greater gift,
Right.
so we can
Mm.
we can, I just think by everything by example.
Yeah, you modeled that and your
Yeah.
kids
And
saw.
yeah, and they saw, right,
Mm-hmm.
right. So,
What
yeah.
what's it like being a sober grandma or just a grandma in
Oh
general?
my God. Like I said earlier, way better than being a parent. I highly recommend it. If we could only do it, you just have to survive parenthood. I mean, it is talk about just the loves of my life. It's a whole other love. It's just
Mhm,
different love.
mhm.
And, you can sugar them up and give them back, or I try, but talk about, again, a whole other growth journey because people are parenting different than we parented.
Right.
And I've learned to zipper my mouth and unzip my purse, right? So no suggestions. I have gotten myself in big trouble. You
Okay.
know, if they want my input, which by the way, they have never asked, it's just totally different parenting. So I have had to, again, work my program. Well, like we're never done,
Mm-mm,
and
never. Right.
and
And the fact that we do evolve and continue to change and having
oh yeah,
willingness and openness is
right,
incredible.
right, and continue to learn about
Yeah.
myself.
Yeah.
And so I mean, it's fabulous, and I'm a much better grandma when
Uh-huh.
I shut my mouth and just I like even I ask, can I buy them this toy? Can I buy them this shirt? Because it might be invading their
Oh
space and all.
my
It's
gosh.
totally different, let me tell you,
I mean, your boundaries. You are like very respectful.
I mean, it's like anything.
Hmm.
What are consequences I'm willing to pay?
Right. Oh,
And
and
really, who am I? Who am I to tell anybody anything unless they ask, right?
oh, that is so humble. Sure.
Oh no, no. It's just I've learned the hard way. I know the other. I don't look at it as being humble. I just know the consequences, and I don't want the consequences.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember in early sobriety, I got this plaque that said, "God, please put one hand over my mouth, and and open my ears," or something like that, because sure enough, I needed to tell everybody the way it had to be done
Oh,
because
oh
my
God.
way
Oh,
was the right way. So,
yeah, I love the acronym. Wait, why am I talking? Like I usually have a motive underneath there of why I'm offering you advice. I get to say that, save all of that for my coaching, right? And
yes, they
yeah,
people are asking you, they're paying you to
yeah,
tell them. You're like,
yeah,
"In
yeah,
this environment, I can do that."
yeah,
The people in my
exactly.
life don't
Yeah,
really
no,
wanna hear about it.
no, yeah, yeah. And again, I just help my clients find their way. I don't have everyone's
Yes.
answers. I can share my experience,
Mhm,
but
mhm,
it's more about, because everyone's different. If they ask me for advice, I will give them some suggestions, but
mhm,
and
yeah,
tell them it could be different for them.
mhm.
Yeah,
And speaking of that, a Sober Mom's Guide to Recovery is the website and also the name of your book. So I will put those links in the show notes so people know where to find you.
yeah,
Um, so many great resources on that website that people can navigate and even if it's not up to date, there are things everything's relative in
yeah.
time.
It's all relative. Matter of fact, when it's interesting because when Hazelden called me for my to book, they said, your subject will always be green in the writing world because like
Yeah,
it doesn't change. We're going to
right.
still have sober moms. I mean, there's definitely more tools and resources out there.
Sure.
But they also said in all the years in publishing,
Yeah.
they had never even thought to write that book. And when I was researching the book, I mean, like one of the excuses I wanted to give was, oh, there's 1,000 books out here like this. There was not a single one. Matter of fact, they hired an author, a male author, to write a sober father's guide to recovery, a sober dad's guide to recovery,
Mhm,
another great
mhm.
resource. But again, that was when they called me, it was not more like, oh, I'm this ego, like I'm this fabulous writer. It was like, oh, I listened to my
Mhm,
intuition
mhm.
and I followed through. I
And
actually
you
completed something.
sure,
Yeah,
sure.
yeah,
And
yeah.
and outside of work, I know you love to travel. You love a good beach.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm going actually, one of my bucket lists is I'm leaving next a week from today to, the British Virgin Isles on a catamaran trip for 10 days.
Oh my
I
gosh.
Yeah, heaven.
That sounds wonderful. And what
Yeah.
is your spirituality like today? Do you identify with a religion? Do you have a practice? Or do you
No,
meditate?
always a practice. From the beginning when I got sober, I do a spiritual reading every day, first thing in the morning with my coffee, and then I just sit for a minute and kind of try to take it in, and then I say some, just prayers I've been saying, and I really just try to open the channel. Whether it's, I look outside my window here, I get to see beautiful Mount Tam, whether it's nature or like the look in a dog's eyes, baby's eyes, people's eyes.
Mhm,
I used to really try to pinpoint it,
mhm,
but I really just try to literally open to be the channel.
mm,
And I've done yeah, and I've just been always on a spiritual quest, like, different churches and different practices. And now I've just learned to simplify it. And who
mm.
knows where I'll end up next? I don't know. Like I said, I was a Christian for a while. I understand that. I grew up Catholic. I've done some Buddhist work. I don't think there's one answer.
Yeah. Well, and you're open to all of it. You're open
Open
to
to all of it. Yeah,
receiving
yeah.
it, giving it away. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think it
Mhm,
just boils down to just being at peace with myself and the world, which is
mm.
not very peaceful. I just like my goal is to be um just one less crazy person out there. Most of the days I can do that, right? Yeah. Yeah. So,
Oh my gosh. Well, it is just full circle seeing you and having this time with you. And you have been such a gift to women and mothers and everybody who has a desire to stop drinking can learn something from you. And
yeah.
you've been such a great resource. So thank you.
uh, Thank you. Tell me the name of your second book now.
It's myself behind me.
Oh,
I
okay.
did a
Love the
second
title.
edition. Thank you. I,
Yeah.
I added some extra chapters about raising kids,
Oh,
teenagers in sobriety and the landscape and the language. And, I mean, really how the landscape of how we talk about alcohol and the
yeah.
shift that's
Oh, yeah.
happened, and
It's
all the
great.
resources out there,
Yeah.
so that's been a big change for a lot of people I work with, and
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Well, good for you. I know, like we said earlier, it's a big writing a book is a lot of work, a
mhm,
lot of work.
mhm.
And
Yeah, and
yeah,
it
so
will never be dated. It will
yeah,
be relevant no matter what.
right,
Yeah.
right,
Mhm.
right. Yeah,
So,
yeah,
well,
yeah.
thank you so much, and for everybody listening, just a friendly reminder to be the change that you wish to see in the world, whether that starts within, in your community, your family, or the world. Thank you so much for listening, and have a great day.